We are live. Hello,
Hi.
everyone. Welcome
Hi.
to The Show Must Go On line. Today's guest is Michael Kushner. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
So much better now that we're chatting.
Oh my gosh, I know. I usually like to drink for these things, but I'm on day 50. What's today's date? Give or take a few cheat days.
24th.
I'm like day like whole 50 of the whole 30, and that means no drinking. So I'm drinking kombucha. Cheers to you.
L'chaim. I've got a nice
L'chaim.
hot tea.
Mmm. Some nice tea for your nerves, honey.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. I figured how's the weather over by you?
Oh, actually, I went on a walk just before this, which is I know that's like, why are you talking about this? But as a COVID long hauler, walking has been a little harder. So I'm starting to implement, like, really starting to train back exercise and movement and physical activity. And so I went on a nice walk with my friend Ryan Duncan, who's from Altar Boys and they're playing our song, getting the band back together, and yeah, just amazing. Yeah, and so we went on a walk around Harlem and enjoyed the nice sunny, still chilly but sunny day, which is lovely.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, I just took Slimbo out for a little walk. Slimbo's my dog, who I am sure y'all will hear throughout this interview.
Hi, Slimbo.
He's so cute. I started keeping treats in my pockets during interviews because he barks so much, and if he's getting on one of his like barking sprees, like too many neighbors walking around or too many trucks going by, I just give him a little cute little it's really nice, actually. It's a little heart treat from Trader Joe's.
Oh, I love that.
So
Come on,
cute.
Trader Joe's plug.
Right? This episode brought to you by Trader Joe's.
Where shopping is a pleasure.
Could you imagine? Please, Trader Joe's, if you're watching this, sponsor me.
We love that. I love that. Let's tag them.
Oh my God, that would be the best. So let's start at the very beginning.
It's a very good place to start.
I thought you would know that. So what's your origin story? What got you into multi-hyphenate life? We've got acting, and you know what? I'll just let you tell it because you've got your whole multi-hyphenate plug. But like, let's start as like baby Michael and then go all the way up here.
Yeah, let me just make sure my wings are looking good. So my Justin Bieber Zac Efron 2009 haircut that's going on. So people are commenting. Tracy and Judy, hi. I don't know if I know them, but hello. So yes. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the origin story. So actually, it's all because of this woman right here, Mary Poppins. When my grandma was a community theater actress in Douglaston, New York, and the JCC would do illegal productions of shows. So it was like Bye Bye Birdie was like Conrad exclamation point, or Funny Girl was Forever Fanny, and she would tell me stories about like when she went on a medication and it was a blood thinner and it made her really, really skinny, that she played Mae Peterson in Bye Bye Birdie or Conrad, and she had this mink stole on this fur mink stole, and she got too brittle underneath, and at the end of her song she couldn't get up, and I was like, I want that. I want to do that. So she taught me stage right from stage left in front of the Mary Poppins, the VHS. And then there's a local children's theater company, which still is in existence. Next Up Broadway, Cynthia O'Brien, you're amazing. And in Coral Springs, Florida, where I'm from, that was doing Mary Poppins. And I got signed up, didn't know what I was doing. I booked Michael Banks. And that was the start of it. That was in the year 2000. and then I started working professionally as a kid. So I've been in the industry about 21 years, which is kind of crazy. And
Wow.
I know. And so I grew up in this industry, and it was really a great way to be like, what do I like to do? What do I want to do? What's my trajectory? And there was the move to New York almost happened when I was a kid. Like I was in the mix for 13, on Broadway when I was like 16. And I was flown up to New York for this and had my callbacks. And, I really was like, well, maybe my, junior and senior year, I would go to PPAS and the, Professional Performing Arts School and really be here in the city. But my parents were very adamant about me finishing, going to school where I had my full scholarship for performing arts and going to college and doing that. And I did. And I'm so grateful for that. And then musical theater at Ithaca College, and I went to French Woods and for Sleepaway Camp, and then moved to the city after a few gigs, did the pre-Broadway tryout of On the Town and got my equity card and, things like that. And here I am in the city after I took up, photography, producing, writing, podcasting, all that good stuff.
All that good stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get into all that in a second, but what a fabulous journey to go from, I mean, come on, classic with Mary Poppins, which I actually saw on Broadway back in the day with an English friend. And I, of course, I used my English accent at the stage door.
Oh, yeah.
And he was not entertained. Shout out to Spence if you're watching.
Spence, not entertained Spence.
No, it was so funny because I know you have like, I'm sure so many stage door memories, but this was like, here I am, young, I don't know, 19 maybe. So I actually have no idea how old I was when we saw Mary Poppins. Whatever it was.
Mary Poppins was on Broadway in 07, 08, 07 to 2010 or 11. So however you were around those years. Perfect.
Well, I am 29 now, so.
Oh, so we saw it around the same time.
Oh my God. Okay, so let's talk. But it was so funny because here is this actual English guy from Sheffield, and he's talking with the lead actress who is also English, and they're like having their little like, oh my God, have you been there? Blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, I can use an English accent too. And they were both like, good for you.
You're like, okay, sweetie. That's hysterical. That's funny.
Yeah.
Who was your Mary Poppins? Was it Laura Michelle Kelly?
I have a photo at the stage door, and I should actually look to see who it is. I haven't looked in ages, but now my Broadway memory is coming back to me, and I will check that out.
My Broadway memory. Well, how appropriate.
Oh, thank you. So how about you? How was that going from being in it as a kid, then seeing it on Broadway, and
oh my God,
let's get into the Julie Andrews of it all too.
Yeah. Oh, the Julie Andrews of it all. Yeah. So, it's actually very funny because when I went to French Woods, I didn't want to go to French Woods. I did not want to go to Performing Arts Sleepaway Camp. I had a job at my local theater. Like, I didn't want to do that, but my dad made me, and I went, and I fell in love with it instantly. And I decided to stay for another session. So I stayed for 2 sessions, but my grandma had already bought me tickets to Mary Poppins for my 16th birthday. That was what we were supposed to do that together. And the owner of camp, Ron Schaefer, literally was like, it's okay. We'll send you to the city in a bus and you'll meet your grandma. It's fine. And I was like, what? So my grandma took me, and I mean, seeing it on Broadway was literally, my jaw had dropped at the end when she flies. Was one of the most magical things I'd ever seen in my life. Then flash forward to college. It was still running when I was a sophomore, and a few of my very close friends and I, Ryan McConnell, who was just on the Anastasia tour, and Joe DePietro, who was just on the Phantom tour. When we were in sophomore year of college together, we took a trip to the city and saw Mary Poppins. And when I tell you, because now this is a different part of my life. This is when I'm starting to become an adult and like leave my childhood, you know, and figure out what is my childhood and what is my current, what's my adult life, you know. When I tell you, I'll do a reenaction of what was happening in my body when she flew. When Michael Banks goes, "Goodbye, Mary Poppins. We'll never forget you." Just screaming, crying to the point where my friends are laughing hysterically because I am people in front of us are turning around scared because I'm it was my face was melting off. So that's my experiencing Mary Poppins.
I mean, it's amazing. It's great when someone is that emotionally invested. We've all been there, right? We've all. Not laughing. I'm laughing with you.
No, you could laugh at me. You could laugh at me. It's okay.
It's so great. And
so then,
please.
What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, Judy's commenting, I was sad I was on the wrong side for her to fly over us when we saw it in Detroit. I know. And Tracy's saying that would be me. So you've got someone who's on your side.
Good. So basically then what happened was, you know, flash forward to I established my photography career, and my friend Alan goes, Kush, he works at Google, and he's also the co-founder of Broadway Podcast Network. He goes, Kush, I need a photographer. Julie Andrews is here at Google. And I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, I dressed up for it. And he was like, you're not going to meet her. No one's allowed backstage. Like, we can't do dressing room project photos. Because I was like, can we do dressing room? No, you're just going to photograph the book conversation, the start of the book tour, and that's it. And I said, okay. Everyone at Google could not have been nicer. And then someone goes, what's on your arm? And I was like, it's Mary Poppins. She was like, you're going backstage. We're and I was like, okay, I mean, like, it's no big deal. Then Alan goes like this to me while she's talking. He goes, so we got approval to go backstage and you'll take pictures. You're going to take pictures of her backstage too. So we went backstage into the dressing room and I photographed Julie and her daughter, and someone went, Julie, look at his arm. I didn't bring it up. And I go like this, and she goes, and she grabs my arm and throws it on her tits. And she's literally like, oh, this is did you see this? Oh, and like does her like Julie Andrews thing. And she was incredible. She was amazing. She was everything I wanted her to be, you know, because Julie has a little spice to her too. I mean, like, look at the 1964 Academy Award speech where she's giving such shade to the director of My Fair Lady. She literally says, and if it wasn't for you, none of this would be possible, when she won for Mary Poppins. And that is like, you know, she didn't need to say anything else. And even, I mean, everyone is laughing. He's even laughing. He even thought that was like great. Like, because only Julie Andrews can, like, you know, do that. And you're all like cool about it. But Rachel York, who's a Broadway legend and a client of mine, and she has done 2 Broadway shows with Julie. Rachel is incredible with phonetics and accents, and she is a great Julie. And I was asking her about her, and she goes, you know, Julie's design suggestions or advice will be, yes, everything must be in creams, whites, and taupes. And I'm like, yeah, of course it is. Creams, whites, and taupes. Yeah. It's very Julie Andrews.
I'm living for every second of this story. Even when you know a story and you've seen the photo, hearing it again just brings so much joy.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, it's literally my profile picture, so I'll pull it up really fast. But
Might as well.
I know. But I mean, I'm
Ah,
just literally like, first of all, look how happy she is, which is like great,
yes.
you know. But I was, super respectful. Like I wasn't there to get a selfie. We didn't even take a selfie. Someone else took the photo. So like, I did my job, and then the magic sort of happened. And it's the same way with when I photographed Idina. Like Idina has that same feeling for me that Julie has as well. Like I really started to relate with her and for a million different ways. Like I am that Long Island like Jewish girl with it when it comes to Idina. Like I am, and I have no shame about that. But it was it's really interesting, and I've gotten to photograph Idina twice, and the first time that happened, I made it happen because I showed up and I my friend MJ texted me, MJ McConnell, and she was like, does this need a press release? And it was like, Brooklyn Children's Theater is is pleased to welcome guest of honor Idina Menzel in their first annual gala. And I was like, if they don't have a press release, they don't have a photographer. So I was like, I contacted Brooklyn Children's Theater and was like, y'all need a photographer. And they were like, okay. So then when I was there and photographed this very intimate performance, this very intimate event, I went up to the artistic director and I was like, you need a photo with the talent. So why don't you take me to where they are? And while I was backstage with Idina and uh, and Bobby Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez, we're all in a circle talking. And Idina's like, thank you so much. It was so incredible to be here. And then she just like stops and looks at me in the eyes and she goes, and you were giving me such an incredible energy. I felt you. And I blacked out. Can't remember a thing. It wasn't until I was washing the blood off my hands I even knew they were dead. I fully blacked out. And was like, LOL, that's because you're my everything. Also, can we take a picture? And she's like, oh my God, yeah. And as we're taking a selfie, she's like, let's take a selfie. And as we're taking the selfie, she literally goes like, what should we do? And I go, let's show off our jawlines because we have the same one. And she was like, and I was like, yes. So then, flash forward to her Christmas show, Carnegie Hall. I had just had a conversation with myself, being like, Michael, if you have commitment, you're going to stick to it. You're not going to cancel anything. Doesn't matter what. 212 number calls me. I'm walking into sound check of a 54 Below concert I was in. It is Idina's team saying that they needed a photographer in 2 hours for the Carnegie Hall show. And I said, thank you very much, but I have a prior commitment. Goodbye. And I was on 55th Street. And I looked around and I was like, what the fuck did you just do? Excuse my French if any kids are watching. I said, what the hell did you just do? Called back immediately and I said, lapse of judgment. I'll figure it out. I will see you at 7. Confirmed. Called my boyfriend, said, lay out a suit, charge my batteries. I'll be home in 30 minutes. Called the producers of the show, said, I love you. Can't do the show. Why? Photographing Idina. Okay, understandable. They knew because they knew they were also friends, so they knew how much this meant. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm leaving you in such a pickle. How about free headshots? And they were like, done. Love you. Have fun. So I get into an Uber, change my clothes, pick up my camera, head to Carnegie Hall, photograph the show, went to the after party. Dunzo.
And those photos are gorgeous, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
They're so good.
Thank you. And sorry if I'm talking a lot, but like stories like these are like exciting. I think like if I was, watching this and I was, however, and I was wanting to be a part of the industry and I heard these stories like the whole, wow, look at that. Just right across the forehead. I look like a member of the Beatles. I think it's it is the story is that anything can happen if you let it, which is a song in Mary Poppins on Broadway, but and in the West End and the stage production. But anything can happen if you let it. It's true, and like all you'd have to do is just sort of follow those impulses of like, oh, thanks, Judy. All you have to do is follow those impulses of like, does this feel right? And if it feels right, then it's more likely right. I mean, we have to be responsible. We have to be socially responsible. I know that if I'm going to photograph Idina or Julie, I can't be a crazy person. I can't treat them like we've been best friends forever. Other people, like in my studio, right? Like when I have a client that's nervous or like or excited to be there, that's different. I could treat them. They're now in my home. They're now in my space. So now I can be like, great, we're going to work together, but I'm on their territory. I was asked to be there. I gotta behave. I can't be a fangirl, and I can be a fangirl. You know what I mean? But it's interesting. But and then the experience wound up just kind of becoming exactly what I wanted it to be, because I got paid to be there. I was able to collaborate. I got an amazing story out of it, and I get to use those stories. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of interesting.
It does sound practically perfect in every way.
Practically perfect in every way. Yeah.
I totally agree. And first of all, I love all of these stories. You can talk as long as you would like.
I have so many of them. Like I have so many of them. It's actually kind of wild. So usually if there's like a picture that I posted of like a Broadway legend, chances are there's a wackadoo story behind it.
Let's talk a little bit more about you in a moment, and then we'll like close out with more of your Broadway memories, because
whatever you want.
It's on the same subject though. I love this. You're giving me so many like 90s boy band vibes now.
I could also do like a fierce bump it.
Ooh, work it.
Yeah, I just need like bobby pins, and I could do like a bump it. But I also look like a footman in Cinderella or something if I have my hair like this. Like my name is like Jean Paul or something.
I could see it. Work it.
Thank you. All right. So what were you going to ask me? I'm sorry.
No, it's perfect. I was just going to comment that Judy knows all about these stories because she's a Showtreon, which is the B-Way Show Patreon squad.
Oh, cool.
And love. And she's been part of this journey when like I started photographing and reporting on Broadway, and I mean, 2019 was absurd, and it was one thing after another. It was, oh, you're photographing Bernadette Peters, and oh, actually, you get to interview her. And that was 2 years ago today. I saw on Facebook my memory. And when you talk about like not being a fangirl, but like when you're professional, there's like this combination that when you're actually professional doing your job, and then once the job's done, that like sometimes you can get a photo or something because you've shown that you are doing it for the right reasons. And then like, she knows she's Bernadette Peters, so she'll go around. Ooh, my new piece. This is fun. I love it. It's okay.
I'm here with you.
Oh, I can hear it now. Beautiful. So a friend commented, she was like, you are smiling so big. Like you couldn't physically smile any larger because Bernadette was just so nice. And there's something about meeting these people who you've idolized and now you've interviewed and you've photographed, and they're just nice and they're wonderful. Yeah. And what a privilege to be able to do this for our jobs, to know when's the appropriate time to fangirl, to like sometimes get a photo. I mean, my favorite photos are like the ones with you and Julie Andrews, which are a friend gets the photo of you and you're just like having a conversation. You're like, oh my God, this is our photo.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the selfie is a really interesting thing because it feels like the selfie is a part of a culture where like we feel like we own something about the experience, right? That's sort of why I started Dressing Room Project, because like there's like I think the theater ticket purchaser or holder now feels that they own the whole experience of Broadway. That the stage door is a part of their ticket price, and if Ben Platt doesn't come out, then their whole night is ruined. And I wanted the dressing room project to happen because, you know, I want to go like, look, you can't get backstage, but I can get you these photos at least so you could see what goes into it. Okay. Will that calm you down a little bit? You know, but it's also, you know, the stories are really cool there, and watching people, you know, live and exist. It's educational, you know, it might help some actor be like, how do I prepare for a show? And then you know, see that Charlotte Dimbois counts on her fingers in a very specific way before she performs as Roxy, and that helps ground her. Or, you know, I'm trying to think of another, you know, Jonathan Freeman's very specific hair, makeup, and wig, you know, process backstage of Aladdin. Telly's physical warm up, you know, what it was like for the skivvies to cultivate a whole new vision for a musical that we know and love. You know, Charlie Brown, an actor instrumental like there's so many different processes that go into a show, and that's why I want to create Dressing Room Project, because it's educational, but it also helps kind of people go, what, you know, I didn't get that with my ticket of purchase, and now my whole night is ruined, you know. So that's just some way I can help, I guess.
No, it totally does. And let's just we'll talk about the ticket holder aspect, and then I want to hear all about Dressing Room Project. But it's true that, I mean, most people who work in the theater industry, not all, but a lot of us, are big Broadway fans that grew up with it, loved it, and now we get to be a spy on the inside. And it's so cool that we get to share that experience. And more and more recently, maybe it's because I'm in the industry, or maybe it's just because I'm not that kid on the street that was like, if I get anything, I'm so happy. But it is so sad to see some fans so disappointed when they don't see it. And some of them just don't, I don't know if it's they don't know better, that this isn't part of it. It's what you saw on the stage. That's what you got. And that should be enough. Right. And you're super lucky if you get an autograph or a photo or a smile and wave. And those are some of my favorite memories from growing up, and even now as an adult. But it is sad when that can take away from so much from someone.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I never felt going to the stage door when I was younger was I owned it. I thought it was this cool insider thing, being like, we can go around there and see, and maybe meet someone. My first Broadway show I ever saw, which was Wicked in 2005, January 5th, 2005. Idina's second to last performance, because it was supposed to be four to last performance, but she wound up falling down the trap door.
That was crazy.
And I saw it 2 days before that. And, I just remember learning about stage dooring because I was a part of a Wicked fan board. And I stage doored it. I remember standing in the snow with my family, and she came out around 11:30. And it was very, very, the rules were very specific because she was receiving death threats for something. It was very wild. So the security was very tight. But I never felt like I owned it. I was never sad that I couldn't get a picture with her. That wasn't a thing. But after seeing Be More Chill come to Broadway, and shows like that, where there's such a fan culture based in the show, that if someone doesn't come out, then it's you just saw them perform. Let them live their life and eat a sandwich and talk to, FaceTime their parents. Everyone has lives. And I never felt like I owned that part of the experience, but had really great experiences, like Felicia Finley after Wedding Singer, once told me, I stage doored The Wedding Singer, and she looked at me and was like, "You're going to be a part of the industry. I know it." And I was like, "Okay, I will. Okay." And that was like so incredibly, that was life changing in that moment, but never felt like I owned it. It was never like you owe me that.
And the more we can appreciate things that are surprises or good news, good
Yeah.
things like you photographing Idina and Julie Andrews and not expecting anything, and then these great moments happening, that's so much better than going in and being like, if I don't get a photo with them, my whole day's ruined, because that's not what you're there for. And I know they're different things because one's professional and one's just enjoying it, but it makes it so much better just when you get this, like, oh, I didn't know anyone would come out, and then they came out, and then like randomly, okay, quick Hamilton story, because I was in Texas, similar to like how you were growing up, I guess, in Florida, and you saw what you could see on like your trips. When I was a reporter in Texas, like I came back once, 1 week a year, and if I got to do something, and same when I went to Maryland, like I'd come home, and if I got to see a show or stage door, that would be cool. So I went and got the Hamilton cast recording from Broadway Flea Market, because obviously that's when I scheduled my trip. And right. I went to the Hamilton stage door just to get a photo of, me holding the Hamilton cast album with the Richard Rodgers in the background. And who walks out? But here comes the general, Chris Jackson.
Oh my God.
It was ridiculous, because I was just like, I remember standing there. I mean, this was so many years ago that I didn't even have like a nice phone or good camera. I had like a little camera, and I was just taking a picture, and I looked over, and he's like, "Do you want me to sign that?" I was like, "Yes, please."
That's funny. That's really okay. Cute.
And we got a picture, because he's like, "Yeah, do you want to?" And the George Washington portrait was right behind us.
Cool.
It was absurd. So all that to say, sometimes you just do something because you want to do it. And if something fun happens, so I heard on one of your podcasts that you went to a stage door growing up, and you got to go backstage. So let's hear that story.
Oh my God. First of all, it's a great Hamilton story. Second of all,
thank you.
Yeah. It was The Wedding Singer. And I actually wasn't even stage dooring it. I walked past the Al Hirschfeld and knocked on the stage door. And this tall guy opens it. He's like, "Yeah." And he's, the stage door guard. And he's like, "Hi, I'm 16. Hi, I'm a theater student from out of town, and I'm seeing a bunch of Broadway shows, and I really want to be on Broadway. And I was wondering if I can get a tour backstage." And he literally was like, "Sure." And he brought me backstage and was like, "So this is where this happens, blah, blah, blah. This is where this happens. And this is the stage." And he walked me on stage, and he's like, "Walk around." Yeah. And I guess it was in between shows to a point where they hadn't yet swept the floor, because I remember the confetti at the end of the show was still on the stage. And I stepped on zero, and I was like breathing it in. And he was like, he saw a camera in my hand, and he's like, "You want a picture?" And he took my digital camera and took a picture of me. And I'm like this. And I posted it at the beginning of quarantine when Broadway shut down. And I'm wearing Crocs, American Eagle shorts, and an American Eagle like baseball tee. And I'm just like the happiest. And then I left. And then I walked to the Eugene O'Neill, and I did the same thing at Sweeney Todd. I did the same thing at Sweeney Todd. And it's, funny, because Lauren Molina, who was in that show, died over her. And now she is a very good friend and collaborator. Like, I'm literally collaborating with her tomorrow on something. Laguna Playhouse is producing Importance of Being Earnest, starring Nathan Lee Graham and the Skivvies. And we're filming that tomorrow. So it's really exciting. And so it's going to be great too. And so, Yeah. I walked backstage. I knocked, someone let me in, and then they handed me over to a dresser who then like gave me a much more in-depth tour. And then she was like, "You want Michael Cerveris's guitar pick?" Gave me Michael Cerveris's guitar pick and then a signed cast poster. And so I'm like walking out of the theater with this, with like his guitar pick and this poster, being like, "Where else can I go? Like just shopping." But that was the last that was the last place where I'd done that before. I started like being like, "Hey, what's up? Can I see you after the show or something?" Or like, I'm in the audience tonight, or photographing them, or something like that. It's and every time I go backstage, I never take it for granted because it's such a sacred place. The theater is my temple, and I always get emotional going backstage. I always do, because I wanted it for so long. And I never ever like it's an energy that I like take in. It's not just about architecture, it's an energy, and I love to go, "Oh, that door leads there. Okay, so," and now it's getting to a point where like I've photographed actors prepping for the roles in theaters where I've been in that theater photographing like 3 times over. So I'll be like, I remember what it was like when it was this show or that show or that show, you know what I mean? Instead of the current show, and seeing how things have changed, or the different energies backstage. And, Come From Away, being backstage at Come From Away is always the best. I photographed there 3 times, and it's always like, it's the energy you see on stage is off stage as well. It's like they all love each other. They all can't get enough of each other. Like, at least from what I've seen, the 3 times being back there, it's all hugs and love, and it's cool.
I love that show so much. So many good memories.
Me too. I love that. I
So
love that show
emotional.
so much. I
Cry,
know.
bawl every time.
I
I try to prepare, but I actually was at Jen Colella's final matinee.
Oh,
Oof.
I'm sure that was
So
amazing.
It was pretty great. So, okay, I need to ask you more about the dressing room project, because you've like
Sure.
given us some tidbits throughout, but even as someone who's in the industry, I love seeing your work because you have such a great eye for it, and you capture moments that not a lot of us get to see. Even if we're covering events or doing interviews, there's something so magical and special about the dressing room, doing something that, like, giving us that little glimmer of, this is the person getting ready to get on stage.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel very, very fortunate to be able to do it, because nothing is staged. It's all in real time. So the photos that you see, on the Instagram or whatever I post on social media, they're real. I mean, like, they are walking on stage to do a show that you probably were at. Yeah, and I photographed Brittany Johnson, the first Black Linda in Wicked, and that night was literally insane. It was insane. And what is that?
So funny you should bring her up. We're having a little show and tell on this episode of Show and Tell on The Show Must Go Online. Little show within a show. This is so funny. I've kept it right here. But what is this? But my scenery bags, Wicked, and look, it is signed.
Oh, who's it signed by? I can't see.
Who you were just talking about?
Is it Brittany? Oh, I love that.
Isn't that so fun?
Also, like, we love scenery bags. They're amazing. They're iconic.
Big fan.
Yeah. So that night was amazing, and I mean, I once thought I thought I closed On Your Feet because I was photographing Anna Villafane as she got ready for Gloria Stefan, and she had just come back from being a little sick, and I was like, remember, like, you have a show to do. Like, if you need me out, kick me out. Like, that's the most important. And I always say that to all the actors that I photograph. You're doing a show. Don't worry about me. You're doing a show. she's warming up. It's right before third a half hour. And she goes, "Can I just like have a second?" And I was like, "Oh my God, totally." And I go out in the hallway and I think the music director goes in, a minute, 2 minutes go by. There's an announcement, 30 minutes. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your 30-minute call, 30 minutes. Anna will not be going on tonight." So, and it's the last week of On Your Feet. And I was like, she had this photo shoot schedule. Like, she had it scheduled. She came in when she wasn't feeling well. And like, she's calling out because of me. Oh my God. Like, I'm closing On Your Feet. I was freaking out, but obviously that wasn't the case. So actually the shoot with On Your Feet is 2 different days because they were so lovely and actually let me finish the shoot when she was in costume and feeling better. So that was really kind. So if you look at Anna Villafañe's shoot for On Your Feet, it's 2 separate days.
Wow. Wow. First of all, love her.
I know, I love her too.
Don't you always feel like that though? When you're like, did I do this? I don't think I did, but like, did I?
That's my life. That's my life. I'm literally like, I have such OCD. Like, leaving the apartment takes me 15 minutes sometimes, where I'm staring at my oven. Like, look at my phone roll right here. Look at my phone roll, because what I do is look at my camera roll. That's my oven. Because what I do is I take pictures of my oven, so that way if I'm on the train or I'm out of that apartment and I'm like, oh my God, is my oven off? I just look at the pictures that I took on my phone.
That is so smart.
Yeah. So there's that. And then I also have my front door. I take pictures of my front door, being like, we also have 2 cameras in the apartment. So like, both from different angles. But we had an attempt to break in the other day.
Oh my God, that's so scary.
It was really scary. Sandwich, my puppy, I woke up. I had actually slept through. I decided to sleep through my alarm a little bit for like 20 minutes. And Sandwich, my puppy, is in my legs. And all of a sudden I start to hear him growl. And he's just like, "Rrr." And then I hear, and I thought the radiator was kicking on.
Yeah.
I opened my eyes. There's a man in my window.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
There's a man in my window, and yeah, and he's opening my window. He's opening my screen to come in, and I don't have my glasses on, and I'm like, is this a maintenance guy that has the wrong window? But I was like, no, and I'm screaming at him. My boyfriend's in the bathroom, and I'm like, Remy, like, and I'm screaming at the window. I'm literally like, who the hell are you? Like, get out, whatever.
Oh my God.
And he goes like this. He goes and runs up the fire escape to where he then runs up to the 5th floor and breaks into an apartment on the 5th floor. It rained glass, and but they caught him. They caught him like very soon after that. Yeah, it was wild.
What? That is so emotional. First of all, yay dogs for always having our backs.
I know. It was really, really sort of wild to just be like, it's not Peter Pan. There's a man in my window, and he is not a maintenance person. He's coming into my apartment. Wild.
Well, I am so grateful that it didn't actually like happen, and that it wasn't awful, and that they caught him, and woof, but that could be really traumatizing.
Well, it was really good that I actually slept through my alarm, because what would have happened was one of 2 things. I would have been sitting at my desk where I'm at right now, and then I would have just seen a man walk into the living room from where there's not supposed to be someone coming.
Oh my God.
Or I would have been out walking my puppy, and my boyfriend would have been in the shower.
Remy.
So
and both of those are, could you imagine coming out of the shower and there's this stranger with your stuff?
Yeah, and I can just imagine it now, like Remy not with his glasses on, thinking it was me talking to me, and then it's not me. Like, ooh, God, how awful.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, well let's shake that out because I'm so glad that you know that horrible thing didn't happen, and that
I know
it's awful that it was a scare, but like at least it was just a scare.
just a scare. Just a scare.
Okay.
I know. Knock on wood.
Just a scare. Does Sandwich want to make a cameo?
Let me see. Sandwich. No, he's by the radiator.
Okay.
He's by the radiator. He's a little croissant right now. But if you want, you could see him. This. No, wait. That's the wrong shoulder. Wrong shoulder. Wrong shoulder. Here we go. There we go.
Oh my goodness! Yay!
That's the little boy.
Oh my god, so precious.
I love it. I know, he's the best boy. He's the best boy. And he's so great with my clients. You know, he gets very excited when they come over, and he, you know, he's a very good assistant. And it's amazing. He's very empathic. So he knows when a shoot is like when he needs to come in and give more energy to the room. It's actually very, very cool. Yeah. And he always knows when a shoot is over. He will run in. He'll run in and he'll like congratulate them. He'll be like, he'll like give like a,
oh,
he's amazing. He's amazing.
That's so precious.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the best.
So cute. So cute. Okay. So I know we're like starting to wind down on time here, and sure. I want to make sure that we get to like all of your things because you
I'll be fast.
Well, I mean, it's, you know, it's your time. Take your time, but you do so many things, especially now that we're in a pandemic and so many moments on Broadway have paused, and yet you're giving us so much life and ability to remember the good times and tell us about it.
Yeah, I'm sort of doing, thank you. That's very sweet. I'm sort of doing this thing of like with my podcasts. I have one podcast that's a very professional podcast. It's called Dear Multi-Hyphenate, and it's about people in the industry that have multiple proficiencies that cross-pollinate. So whether or not you're like a producer, writer, director, or an actor, photographer, producer, or an actor, writer, arts administration, like whatever it is, if you have multiple proficiencies that help each other survive, we talk about it on my podcast. And, you know, I have an episode with casting director Stephanie Clapper coming out, and I have Alex Wise. You know, we work together on Indoor Boys. I'm the executive producer of the Emmy-nominated Indoor Boys. And so I have Alex and Salala Brock's from Book of Mormon. Salala Brock's episode is out right now. And, you know, I've had Rachel Brosnahan on the show. I've had Tony winner Randy Graff and Tony winner Tanya Pinkins. And I really try to keep like people that are really telling the multi-hyphenate story. Like, I mean, I think that everyone has an incredible story, but like, if you're interested in like wondering how to produce stuff and you're wondering how to make this pivot happen, and then come to that podcast and listen to those stories, because it's really, it's, you know, it's full of inspiration. But then there's My Broadway Memory, which is this setting, you know, it's on, you know, we record on stream, we film live on StreamYard, and we do a show like this, and there's comments, and both of these podcasts are with Broadway Podcast Network, and we have different guests, and the whole idea is to keep Broadway alive with sharing Broadway memories, whether or not it was a show that you did or a show that you saw, whatever it is, they come up and they're pretty awesome. But our next episode, we have War Paint's Eric Lieberman and Christine Ebersole on March 4th. March 4th is that episode at 7 p.m. live.
That is so exciting. I've actually watched like all of them and listened to all of your podcasts to prep. I kind of like over listen because I love to take it all in and see like where the conversation. Yeah. Well, you bring such different energy to each of them. And I think that's so, what's even the right word for it? It's so impressive that you can have one that is so professional and you really get to like the nuts and bolts for people like me who are also multi-hyphenate.
Yeah.
And we get the permission to be multi-hyphenate. And I think that's what's really nice.
Yeah, there's definitely I think we have to be multi-hyphenates in order to exist, especially during the pandemic. But I think we're going to see this huge change when the industry, like, what I like to say is that it's going to be an informed normal. I think that we're going to go back to the structure, 8 shows a week, packed houses. It's going to happen, whether or not it takes a day or 2 years. It'll happen. We'll get back there. But an informed, more normal meaning making sure that we're responding to racial injustice and being equitable with our job opportunities, and just making sure that marginalized communities are being represented and are given jobs, and the representation is there, and which we better see. And so yeah, I think like once we are back at our informed normal, the multi-hyphenate is sort of, we worked during quarantine. We garnered an income, we worked, and we got recognized for that work. There are people that are still producing things. There are still people that are getting on their computer, streaming for 5 people, for 100 people, for whatever, but just getting out there and telling the story. Like, Dear Multi-Hyphenate started excuse me, kombucha makes me burpy. That started, did a light go off behind me or something? That was very weird. I just like got super distracted because I think that there's
it was like flickering for a second, but I think it looks okay now.
Yeah. There's someone, a spirit is probably trying to make themselves known. My apartment is very haunted. So but yeah, I'm actually going to a paranormal investigation on Saturday, and I'm so excited.
Ooh, look at you go.
I know, I'm really excited about it. So, the podcast started in January of 2020. And that was really interesting to pick up, like, who's listening to podcasts. Podcasts were getting some notoriety, like, but then all of a sudden the pandemic happened, and then everyone created a podcast. And I think the statistic now is 7,000 new podcasts are created per day.
Per day? What?
Per day.
Per diem? That's crazy.
Per day. So I know, it's insane. So like, and there's also Zoom fatigue. So people are like, I can't look at my computer anymore. Bye. And so I've noticed, like, on my live show, on my Broadway Memory, our viewership went from 4 to 10,000 views per episode to like 400. Because there's so much happening. But Dear Multi-Hyphenate, in January and February, I already have half of the downloads that I got in 2020 alone. So it's going like, it's doing like this weird thing, because I think what's happening is people absolutely need to be entertained. Like with my Broadway Memory and B-Way show, like there are many shows that are happening that are perfect because they need to be entertained. We need levity. But now I think people are really starting to panic and go, how do I stay creative? Oh my God, this pandemic is lasting way longer than I anticipated. What's going on? And I have a professional podcast, and I think that it gives people the agency to be able to create and go, okay, like, it's sort of this funny thing, because it's like, I want to give the story to people to be able to create, but then like, what can you do another outlet other than a podcast? Can you do another outlet other than this? Like, staying creative means being innovative, and that's part of the multi-hyphenating life, is figuring out what sort of a story that you're going to tell through the proficiency that you have. And like, people ask me, like, do you miss performing? I'm like, yeah. The last time I did a contract show, a literal production on a contract, 8 shows a week, was in 2013. And I've done readings, I've done workshops, and people ask me, they go, do you miss it? And I go, look, do I miss being on stage? Sure. But I'm not interested in telling a story that I'm not passionate about as a performer. If I'm going to put myself on stage now, I have to be willing to commit to the bit. I have to be really willing to commit to that, because then if I was to do a show, leave town for $550 a week, that is just a significant drop of income, just because I'm like choosing to do the Wizard of Oz at Porta Potty Players Theater. You know what I mean? But that's for me personally. I support, like, I want to be a tool for people that want that job. There are people that make their careers as swings, as understudies, as leads, going from regional theater to regional theater, and that is amazing. But that's not for me. So I gotta sit and go, what stories am I going to tell in what sort of mediums? But if you want to go tell stories like that and go from, like, live in a suitcase because that excites you, and I'm not saying that as shade, I'm literally saying, like, live out of a suitcase and go do show to show to show to show, because that's a very, very specific life. Go do it. I'll help you. I'll get those headshots. Like, I have clients and I love it because they're not bullshitting a bullshitter. And they're literally like, I want to do a Disney cruise. That's my next goal. I want to do a Disney cruise for the next 5 to 10 years. That's what I want to do. And I get them pictures that'll play to the Disney cruise. And I love it because we didn't waste any time. We literally played around with that vibe, and that's what we got. And that's what's going to help them get into the room for a Disney cruise. You tell me you want Elphaba, we'll work to getting you an Elphaba picture. Like, I had a client the other day that is an educator, and she works in nonprofits, but she does community theater. And I said, great. So we'll get you a nice, fabulous LinkedIn picture. You know, she bought got the 3-look package of mine. And I said, great. We'll get you a LinkedIn picture because you work in nonprofits. I'll get you, a great, usable, lovely headshot that shows you that you could use for your community theater productions. And then I'll get you an educator picture, something that, A, B, and C. And that's how I like to help artists. I had Angela Grovey on Dear Multi-Hyphenate, and I know her from doing Covenant House Sleep Out, and I photographed her for Broadway for Biden. She's become a friend over the years, and she was on Dear Multi-Hyphenate, and she talked about serving. She looks at artistry as serving, and I learned so much from that, because self-focused energy in our art is cool. Like, sure, go up on stage, sing because you love singing and that's what you know to do, and that's cool, and you love hearing yourself sing. Great. Okay, love it. If you could do that, perfect, cool. But who are you serving? What are you serving? What purpose are you serving? And what makes it hard with being multi-hyphenate is that every proficiency that we have to know who and what and why we're serving. For every proficiency that we have.
Wow. Yeah, that is so true. So many different energies, what you're doing, what mindset you have to be on, which is just like in your podcast, which energy are you bringing? And you work them both beautifully. So great job.
Thank you. Yeah, I talk about this a lot. I write about this a lot. It's something that I'm very passionate about. And, I don't know if you got my accidental newsletter that went out, but thanks, MailChimp. But a January newsletter went out 2 days ago. And I decided not to send it out because I got overwhelmed with it. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know, like, importing the emails were weird. So I just, like, let it sit there. And all of a sudden went out to 3,000 people. January, that's 24 days ago. But so many people responded being like, this is a great newsletter. And they didn't even know that it was from January, but actually responded being like, podcast is great. I'm listening. They took away that, didn't even care about the dates. And the title of the newsletter is, This is the Year of the Multi-Hyphenate. And it's true. It is the year of the multi-hyphenate. And the whole idea is that we are all one. We just have to understand the ways that we want to tell our stories through our different proficiencies.
So true. So true. Yes. So, are there any, and I probably know the one you're going to talk about, but I will let you say it, any nonprofits or charities that you want to shout out?
Yeah, I always shout out Covenant House.
Yeah.
Covenant House is great. I don't know if you, it's not a charity, but, Musical Theater Factory, mtf.org, if you want to support theater makers devoted to, lifting marginalized voices in new musicals, mtf.nyc, covenanthouse.org, I believe, for homeless youth. Yeah, those are pretty much who I like to work with.
Amazing. Are you getting some good roughing? Hi, Slimbo. He's sitting perfectly that I can see him through the doorway, and he's so cute.
Slimbo.
Love.
Oh, Slimbo.
So, okay. Do you have like 2 more minutes? I know I said an hour, so okay.
No, it's okay. That's okay. I'm here for you.
Thank you, my love. So 2 last things and we can combine them because I saw that you were an investor in Be More Chill, which I love. Big fan. Because I filmed a lot of the post-show hangs for Be More Chill.
I think that's how we met.
You know what? I think so. Such a big fan. So much fun. And then in a very different breath, I heard that you were also at that Alanis concert at the Apollo Theater with all of the chamomile tea.
I don't know how she did that, but that was, she even was like, boy, am I going to have to pee after this. But that girl guzzled down chamomile tea as if she was hooked up to a tube that was just being...
It was crazy.
Bottomless pit. It was insane. Anyway, sorry.
No, when I was watching it, I was like, this is impossible. There's no way that I could have half that amount. I mean, these are like water bottles that are maybe like up to here, and she had 8 of them, 12 of them.
I guess it was just a pure adrenaline of just like, you know what I mean? Of her just like, it turned into pixie dust. Like, it was wild.
Absurd.
And she sounded unbelievable.
So, okay, that's just what I wanted to talk about. So I saw, trying to think of the timeline, that I saw Jagged Little Pill maybe like the day before or right after, and seeing Alanis's concert. It was just magical. And I know you're good friends with Deanne Stewart and just all of that. So
one of my besties,
take all of that. Yes, I love that. So respond to all of that fun stuff as you wish.
Oh my God. I love that you brought up 2 very interesting things. Investing in Be More Chill was a sandwich. I hear sandwich. Investing in Be More Chill was a huge educational moment. Understand. Where are you? He went back into his bed. Understanding. Oh, Naomi is working on Good For You for an audition. That's exciting. Good For You from Dear Evan Hansen, correct? It was educational because I learned what the difference between a producer and an investor is. And I definitely wanted to be more involved. I got an original musical to Broadway, and that was cool, by writing a check, and that was awesome. Got to go to opening, and that's great. Got some cool limited posters. I'm not in it for that, but to at least like be a part of that was very kind of cool. there's not, I mean, there, I wanted to be more involved, you know, and I thought because I was already, you know, 2.5, 3 years ago, I thought that I would be more involved based on just what I thought it was going to be. And that wasn't the case. And that's okay, because I got a show to Broadway, helped to get a show to Broadway, and that's all that matters. And then it's just going to inform what I do next. You know, that if I ever do invest in a show again, it's going to be very specific and, you know, and I'll know exactly like why I'm choosing to do that.
You live, you learn.
You live, you learn. But being at the concert, so, and I loved Be More Chill. I loved being a small part of it. I loved being in the room, you know, for invited dress and for opening and it was just great. I mean, like, there was no artistic titillation when it came to it, because I didn't have that. I literally wrote a check and then the show carried on. Like, that's what investing is, and that's okay. And I learned, and it was a cool experience. It was a really cool experience to be able to do that. The concert, the Jagged Little Pill concert was awesome. I think it was me and Remy's like one of maybe an anniversary present or a birthday present that I had gotten for Remy. He is a huge Alanis fan. I am a big Alanis fan, but Remy is like a massive Alanis fan. And then I wound up photographing Alanis at the Legacy Robe ceremony opening night of Jagged Little Pill. And she was lovely. But that concert was amazing. And there was like these two girls in front of us that were so beyond trashed and were screaming during like very quiet moments, and everyone around us was like shushing them. They were picking fights. No. They picked fights with me. They picked fights with Remy. So anyway, so yeah, I mean, like, but it was still amazing and incredible and such a great night. But wow, like, it was so incredible to hear the legend herself sing Jagged Little Pill. Like, what? It was amazing. It was amazing. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm not being nice about my experience with Be More Chill, and I'm being real. Like, if someone asks you to invest in a show, there's no artistic experience. It's just not. But it was really cool to be like, I helped a little bit. I helped. A small part of me helped. And that's all I got to say on that, because I feel like I'm just like chasing my tail a little bit. But
no, and I'm sorry if I made you feel uncomfortable, like bringing this up out of nowhere. But I think it's really important for people to know that there are different levels of things and different creativity inputs that you may or may not get. And being a part of something, sometimes you get that part that you were searching for, and sometimes you just help to get to Broadway, which, like, thank you. I got to see it because you helped to bring it there. So honestly, like, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I know that so many people loved it, and seeing people love it, you know, it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, it's a Broadway show. Like, you know, that's now in the Broadway legacy. Like, that will be a part of the conversation of Broadway forever. And that was cool. That's cool to be a part of.
Well, and just like you were such a Wicked fan growing up and being part of those message boards, I mean, come on, Be More Chill, all the social media. Anytime I photographed the stage door, I mean, the fans out would meet up there or met literally at the stage door. And then I saw them at closing and they were like, we met when you photographed us doing that thing and you did an interview. We met that day and now we've been in touch since then and we're going to closing together. What? It's amazing.
Yeah. And also, you know, I think is really cool is Broadway Con. Broadway Con really does create a cool experience for individuals that might feel that they don't have connection where they're from, you know, that they can come to New York and there's other rum tum tuggers dressed like them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And really, I love seeing, because I do some panels at Broadway Con, and I have a booth there for Dressing Room Project, and seeing the obscure characters is really cool as well. And like, I think Broadway Con is really, really incredibly helpful and lovely to so many people. But again, like watching, I'm sort of like stuck in this interesting place because I'm certainly not a Broadway star, but I'm an industry professional.
Right.
And then there are fans. So you're surrounded by these sort of like different energies, right?
Yeah.
And that being said, like the whole idea of, and I'm not saying Broadway Con perpetuates this at all, but the whole idea of that stage door culture bleeds into every experience that a fan has. That just because you're at Broadway Con, just because you're at the Broadway show, just because you're at this does not mean you own the person that is in your presence. Treat them with respect, respect their boundaries, respect their space, and everyone will have a good time. So I'm a huge fan of Broadway Con. I think Broadway Con is awesome. And I think the opportunities that they provide is, oh my God. If I was a teenager, if I was an out of town Broadway lover of any age, like, wow. But I chose to work in the industry.
Yes. We love it. There's all the realness, but really at the end of the day, we get to
another
day
older.
Passion.
Oh yes, that too.
True.
That too.
So where can everyone find you on social media? Anything you want to like plug? This is a great time. And like anything you came into today wanting to make sure to get out there to your fans. Now is the time to seize the day.
Now's the time to seize the day. Oh my God, that audition for me, Jesus Christ. Wow. Okay. That's another story. We'll do another one of audition stories.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm 40 and Broadway Con had me feeling like a kid in a candy store. I know, it's amazing. It's incredible. Like I love Broadway Con. I think what they absolutely do is incredible. What I want to reiterate is that the fans that come to Broadway, I want to make sure that the experience is great for everyone. You know what I mean? That stage door culture, like there are people that don't want to come out of the stage door because they feel so taken advantage of, you know what I mean? Or like the things that are said are so, boundary breaking. And I've seen it, you know what I mean? So let's all be respectful and all that good stuff. But I know that. I'm sure, Lisa, you're absolutely fine.
Totally.
But, yeah. But yeah, so there's also another flicker before. So I wonder who it is. I'll pay more attention to it. If anyone wants to take class with me, I have a workshop that I teach with Ashley Kate Adams, who's in the revival of Lacage, and Kimberly Faye Greenberg. If you are a budding multi-hyphenate and you want to know how to explore your multi-hyphenate proficiencies and be a better artist or your better self or whatever, we are starting a intensive, our 5th session on March 1st, and we provide you with incredible opportunities to hold yourself accountable, and we give you goals that you're actually able to work on and then bring out into the world after this intensive is done. So it's pretty cool. We start that on the 1st, and just to listen to your multi-hyphenate and my Broadway memory, please follow me on Instagram at the Michael Kushner. That is a huge thing. Please follow my social accounts at the Michael Kushner, at Dear Multi-Hyphenate, at my Broadway memory. Everything's measured in social media nowadays. And communicate with me. Like, I love to talk with people. So if you ever have a question or anything, write me, come to my studio, shoot with me. That's all. I think that's all. Yeah, I think that's all.
That's all, folks.
That's all, folks.
That's brilliant. Well, y'all can find me at BWaySHO. That's BWAYSHO, as you see from this beautiful banner brought to you by Chelsea Hill, aka Illustrating Diva. Big fan. And yeah, social media, that's big time. Subscribe to both of us. And Subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts for both of our podcasts. You've got B-Way Show, the podcast. You've got both of his, because really, I know we talk about this all the time, but it makes a big difference.
It does. Please rate, subscribe, tell your friends, all that stuff. It really does make a huge difference.
It really, really does. So in just like one final thought, are there any other random Broadway memories that you like? Because you've told us so many good ones, but you're like so chock full of all of them that if I didn't ask for like a last little glimmer, I'd be remiss.
So I'll do this really, really fast because it's a long story. Studied abroad in London, grew up obsessed with Les Mis. Studied abroad in London, went to the Menier Chocolate Factory. Francis Raffel, the original Tony-winning Eponine, was Fastrada and Pippin. I geeked out, obsessed, and stage doored it in college. I was getting a drink at the bar, and the bar is right next to the stage door. And she comes out in this foaming stole, and I'm like, I love you. I was you as Eponine for Halloween. And she was like, LOL, because over there, it's not really good if you dress up for someone as Halloween, you're making fun of them. And I was like, no. She was like, can I see a picture? And I showed her, and she's like, oh, that's not bad. And I was like, no, it's not. Flash forward 5 years later, Deconstructing Patty happens. It's the concert with Seth Rudetsky and Patty at the Niederlander on a Monday night when Warpaint was dark. Patty's singing I Dreamed a Dream. In the middle of the song, she goes, ladies and gentlemen, Francis Raffel. Frankie comes on stage and they sing a little On My Own, I Dreamed a Dream mashup duet from the 30th anniversary concert thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to the after party. I'm going to see her. So at Sardi's, I found her and I was like, not sure if you remember me, but I saw you in Pippin at the Menier Chocolate Factory. And she was like, you were me as Eponine for Halloween. And I was like, I was. And she's like, well, I just moved here and I'm looking for friends, so we need to hang out. So next thing you know, came to my studio. We had an incredible shoot, went on a double date with her and her then boyfriend, and we're friendly friends now. And if you would have told 9-year-old me, I don't know what I would have done, but we love Frankie Raffel. She's the absolute best. And then we actually were in London together at the same time to see the Company West End production. And around 3 a.m. we wound up going to Groucho's club in the West End and sang around the piano at 3 a.m., closed down the club drunk, singing Old Friend from Getting My Act Together and Taking It on the Road around the piano at 3 a.m. And that was really cool.
Wow. Fabulous. Thank you. That is such a perfect story to end with.
Good. I'm glad.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. It has really been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, SHO. You're amazing. You're a fabulous host. I love your show. And I can't wait to talk with you again soon.
Thank you. And thank you all for watching. You're wonderful. Please take care of yourselves. Wear a mask. Be safe. And we'll see you at the show.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.